Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Madison County. My name is Jesse Allen, and I am here today to kick off the 2020-21 Social School Program. I appreciate you tuning into this video and giving me an opportunity to talk to you guys just for a little bit. I'm going to do about a 15-20 minute introduction here, and we're going to kick off this school year. So before I go too far, I want to do just a little bit of an introduction of myself. As I said, my name is Jesse Allen, and I am going to be working with you guys for this school year on all the things that are related to your job that are not your job specifically. And what I mean by that is, if you're trying to get a job, how do you have the social skills and make the connections that you need to get that job? Or if you already have a job, how do you deal with those difficult coworkers? How do you deal with those difficult bosses, customers, right? How do you handle your stress? How do you deal with it day to day? And just a little background about myself. I am originally from Edwardsville, Illinois. Grew up there, went to high school. And I have to tell you, I came from one of those households that you might say we had some issues. Um, and so, I wanted to be different. I wanted to have some other opportunities to do some things differently. So I started studying psychology. That's the study of the brain and the mind and human behavior. I started studying when I was about 16 years old. Started reading a guy by the name of Sigmund Freud, and you probably never heard of him before, but it was a big deal at the time. I was having some crazy dreams, and I just wanted to figure it all out, right? And so when I graduated high school, I was desperate to get out of Edwardsville, and so I had an opportunity to go to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. I went there and got my first bachelor's degree in psychology, right? So studying people. And so I was followed closely by my current wife, and she got her bachelor's degree in elementary education, came back to Edwardsville, and has been teaching there for about the last 25 years. But yeah, when we got out of college, she got a job right off the bat, and I was having a hard time finding something that was going to make things work, or at least pay off some of my student loan debt. And so had a hard time finding a job until I ended up at a place called Coordinated Youth and Human Services. And what Coordinated Youth is an alternative school in Granite City. And for those of you that don't know, alternative school is basically set up for those kids who are having some behavior problems and have gotten kicked out of their school for whatever reason. And so I was a program assistant or a teaching assistant there at Coordinated Youth and Human Services. And I did that job for about a semester before they convinced me that what I was really made to do was become a teacher, right? So I could really relate to those kids. I'd been in a fair amount of trouble as a child. I knew what it was like to have to deal with the law and that kind of stuff. But also because I had the background in psychology, I knew a little bit about what made them tick and how to keep them safe and out of trouble. And so I went back to school. I went to SIUE Edwardsville, and if you haven't been there before, it's a beautiful campus. It's a great place to be. Um, and so I went there and I got my second bachelor's degree in special education. So the second time I went to college, it was to become a teacher. And so I graduated from there in 1999, probably before most of you were born. I graduated from there, and immediately I started working for a place called ETC CEO. And if you haven't heard of that one, right now it's based out of Troy. But while I was working there, I was working in Alton, and I was a teacher mostly at the high school level. So I worked with juniors and seniors, and it was my job to either, help those kids get jobs or to graduate high school or, get into the military or whatever it was that they wanted to do. And so I worked with those kids, and I'll be honest, in a lot of ways, I really loved that job. It was a great thing for me to do. I was able to be of service and had a lot of success there. But after doing that for about 10 years, I was sort of burnt out. And I will tell you that in my time at ETC CEO, I had worked with students who had been murdered. I worked with students who committed murder, and just about everything in between. So there were a lot of hard times and a lot of hardships. Fortunately for me, while I was a teacher, I got my third degree. I got a master's degree in special education from SIU. And while I was getting my master's degree, they taught me about this cool thing called social emotional learning. And so I spent most of my education in my master's degree working on this thing called social emotional learning. And I'm going to try real quick to see if I can show you what that looks like or what that means. Again, I apologize for this, but I'm going to do the very best I can. So what we're going to be talking about is social and emotional learning. And what it says is SEL is a process through which children and adults develop fundamental emotional and social skills to handle themselves, their relationships, and their tasks effectively and ethically. And the reason why that's so important to me is that I know that for a lot of the students that I worked with that struggled, that was really what was, causing them problems or causing them difficulty. Either they couldn't deal with their difficult feelings, they couldn't handle their stress, or they didn't know how to make connections, they didn't know how to get along with other people. And so it's a situation where after my master's degree, I decided that it was time to do something different. And at the end of my teaching career, I have to tell you, I was not a healthy person. My stress had gotten to me. I weighed almost 280 pounds, went to the doctor. My blood pressure was like 190 over 110, something like that. And he told me, he said, Jesse, listen, I don't know what you're doing, man, but it's killing you. Right. And my father had just had a heart attack, and he's like, listen, you've got a history of heart disease. If you don't get out of this business, then, you're going to be in trouble. And so what I decided to do was I was going to walk away from teaching. Fortunately for me, my wife at the time was having our second child, and I decided that what I wanted to do more than anything was I wanted to be a stay-at-home dad, just give it a year, get my head right, change some diapers. And I don't know what you guys know about changing diapers. It's not my favorite thing to do, but honestly, it was better than what I used to do, a lot less stressful. But it wasn't meant to be. So there were some people that I had worked with while I was getting my master's degree and while I was in Alton who were part of something called the Illinois Children's Mental Health Partnership. And they were very interested in this thing called social emotional learning. And so I had worked on a statewide grant. And so as soon as I walked out of the classroom, they approached me and they offered me an opportunity to be something called a family advocate for social emotional learning. And it was my job to travel around all kinds of schools and help families to deal with their difficult problems, maintain positive relationships, all the things that I had studied about. It was an opportunity for me to apply that knowledge. And I did that job for a year. And I really loved it, right? So I traveled, if you can imagine, a 16 county radius in Illinois around St. Louis, right? So as far as like Greenville, Carlinville, spent a lot of time down south. And so any school that wanted to provide, family nights, game fairs, health fairs, that kind of stuff, it was my job to help them do that. And so I did that job for a year. And after a year, my boss was getting ready to have a baby. And so because I had my master's degree, I was in line to get her job. And they called me in on my birthday, and I was pretty sure it was just so that I could sign off on some paperwork and go ahead and get that next level job. You know what I mean? I was ready to get paid full time for a real job. But unfortunately, that's not how it happened. What actually happened was they called me in to tell me that my grant was no longer funded, right? So I got fired on my birthday, right? So they called me in to tell me that my job didn't exist anymore, but they felt bad for me. The people that I worked for knew that I did a good job and that I had done well, and they wanted me to do well. And so they gave me like a little parting gift. And what they gave me was they gave me 6 memory sticks full of material. And they told me that I could do whatever I wanted to with it as long as I gave them credit for creating the materials. And what I decided to do, and this was back in like 2009, 2010, what I decided to do was start my own business. And the name of my business is Social School. And what I do is I teach social emotional learning to young people and adults. Youngest client that I've ever worked with was 6 years old. I've worked on and off with a lady on the other end of the spectrum. She's 62 years old. I think honestly anymore, she just pays me to listen to her because her husband doesn't want to do it. But what I do is I use social emotional learning to help people get the things that they want out of life. And how that affects you is that you are either trying to get a job or you're trying to keep your job. And either way, during COVID, things are really rough. And I just want to take a minute to kind of talk about that, right? So the world of work was always difficult for young people, right? They don't get the best jobs. Sometimes they get looked over, and things were rough. And the truth of the matter is that the pandemic has just made that a whole lot harder. And so, I know that for a lot of you guys, you're really struggling. And so part of what I want to do over the course of this school year, if we have the opportunity, hopefully I get to come into your classrooms and we get to meet and talk and do all the things that I ordinarily will do. But until then, I'm going to be posting videos. I'm going to be Zooming with you guys. I'll have the opportunity to meet everybody. And I'm really looking forward to it, right? This is the start of my 7th year coming into the different high schools. Right now, I currently serve 7 different high schools in Madison County. So that's Bethalto, Collinsville, East Alton, Woods River, Edwardsville, Granite City, Highland, and Triad, right? Those are my 7 schools, and I just absolutely love you guys. Believe it or not, your cooperating teachers are awesome, right? Every single one of them has been absolutely fantastic, and those ladies are very, very near and dear to my heart, so I hope that you treat them well. So the last thing that I want to do to wrap up this video is I want to give you a real quick summary, or kind of like a rundown of what it is that we'll probably be doing over the course of the year. And so I have another little handout, and we'll see if I can make this work. It's going to be a problem. Hello? Look at me. All right. So check this out. This is basically the course curriculum that we're going to have for this school year. And so if you look, there are 5 units that we are going to cover. The first one at the very top is self-awareness, right? So we're going to come to a better understanding of our needs, feelings, values, right? What's important to you. I know you spend a lot of time being told what's important to you, but this is kind of be a journey of self-discovery, right? So you're going to have to find out about yourselves. The next one, which is over here, this one, self-management. Self-management is basically how we deal with stress, how we handle things. Also goal setting, right? So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about how you deal with stress, because the truth of the matter is your work is going to be stressful. And so we need to be able to deal with that if we're going to be able to get a job, keep up with school, whatever it is, right? And so this next one, this is called social awareness. And social awareness basically is having an understanding for other people. And if you've ever seen people who have done weird things, or, you don't understand, why would somebody do that? What are they thinking? What are they doing? That's where that social awareness really comes in. And what we're going to do is we're going to find out that no matter how different you think you are, no matter how different you think they are, how weird, right? People are just people, and the same rules that apply to you also apply to them. And so once we get a better understanding of ourselves and learn to manage that, then we can kind of understand other people as well. All right. So the next one here, they call it relationship skills. In my office, I call this one social management. But basically, it's how you get along with others, right? How do you get along with your friends? How do you get along with your parents, your siblings? And in the world of work, it's your coworkers, it's your customers, it's your bosses. And this is really where it's at, right? So we need to have good social management or social skills in order to be effective, right? Your ability to get along with other people is going to determine your success at work. All right, and then the last one, and on here it says responsible decision making. And what I'll tell you is that, the choices that you make determine your success in life, right? It's what you do and it's how you do it. It's the choices that you make that determine whether or not you're going to be successful. And so our goal with all of these units is to help you make better choices, right? Help you make better decisions that are going to get you paid, that are going to get you the job you want, and that are going to get you what you need to be successful, right? So over the course of the year, typically we do about 1 every quarter. So in first quarter, we'll probably do self-awareness. Second quarter, we'll get into self-management. Hopefully by third quarter, I'll be able to see you guys. We'll get into the classroom. I'll be able to do social management. And then I kind of blend the last 2 in fourth quarter. All right. So that's pretty much an overview of me and what it is that I plan to do with you guys over the course of the semester. I do appreciate you bearing with me. I will tell you I bought a fancy camera and some software to try to edit some videos, but that is not working out for me so well. I am not a tech guy. So you can tell I'm shooting this on my phone in my office, doing the best I can. So be patient and tolerant with me. Be patient and tolerant with each other. Be patient and tolerant with yourselves, and have a great day. Thanks so much for your time. Bye-bye.